Hi everyone, I'm Satomi and I offer hands-on bread making classes in Tokyo. Today I'll show you how to make chocolate swirl shokupan. Actually, this shokupan was requested by one of my YouTube followers. I'm really happy to share this recipe with everyone. First, we need to adjust the temperature of our wet ingredients. For this recipe, that means adjusting the temperature of the egg and milk. It's important to keep the dough temperature between 26 to 28 degrees after kneading. This helps the yeast grow well and let us guess how long the proofing will take. Now it's summer in Japan and my kitchen is around 27 degrees, so I keep the egg and milk in the fridge until I use them. Adjust the temperature of your liquids based on your room temperature so your dough stays consistent and proofs properly. Please check the description box below for more details about controlling the dough temperature. Let's mix the ingredients. In your stand mixer bowl, add the bread flour. Bread flour with 12 to 13% protein works best for soft and fluffy shokupan because the higher protein helps build strong gluten, which gives the bread structure, traps gas from the yeast, and makes it rise nicely. Add the sugar, salt, and instant dry yeast. You can use granulated sugar, but I usually use canned sugar as I use it for cooking. For the salt, you can use fine salt. If the salt grains are too large, they don't mix into the dough evenly. I use instant dry yeast, which can be mixed directly with the dry ingredients. But if you're using a type that needs to be activated in the water fast, make sure to do that before mixing. Bring the batter to room temperature so that it becomes soft and mixes into the dough faster. Set the batter aside for now as we'll add it later. Once you put all dry ingredients in the mixer bowl, mix them. This step helps the liquids absorb more evenly into all the ingredients. Then pour in the egg and milk again. I mix by hand just a little. This helps everything combine faster in the mixer. Set the bowl on the stand mixer with the dough hook attached and start mixing on low speed like level 2 on a KitchenAid until there's no dry flour left. Increase to medium speed, which is level 4, and knead for about 10 minutes. In the beginning, the dough will likely stick to the bottom of the bowl. That's totally normal. At this stage, the gluten structure hasn't formed yet. As we keep kneading, the dough will start to come together and pull away from the bowl on its own. So try not to add extra flour unless the dough is too wet or runny. After about 10 minutes, the dough should start to feel elastic. It's time to add the softened butter. We wait until now because adding fat too early can slow down the gluten development. By giving the gluten a head start, the dough builds better structure. Once the butter is added, continue kneading on medium speed for another 10 to 15 minutes. Make sure to start a timer once there are no butter bits remaining. Now, prepare the cocoa paste. Pour the hot water in a small dish first, then add the cocoa powder so they combine more easily. Mix them and make a thick paste. Firm enough to hold its shape but smooth. Add more hot water as needed until it becomes spreadable but not runny. I've been kneading for about 12 minutes and my dough becomes smooth and stretchy. Now let's do the window pane test to check if the dough has kneaded enough. Stretch a piece of dough between your fingers. If it becomes thin and almost transparent without tearing, it's ready. If it tears easily, knead for 5 more minutes or so. Remove the dough from the bowl and take out 200 grams. We'll use this portion for the cocoa swirl. Place the cocoa paste onto the 200 grams of dough and wrap it up. Put it back to the mixer bowl and knead just a few more minutes until the color becomes uniform and the cocoa is fully incorporated. You can knead by hand if any part of the dough hasn't been incorporated. Now, we have two types of dough, plain dough and cocoa dough. Shape them into smooth balls. To create surface tension, fold the dough a few times and tuck the sides underneath. Check the dough temperature. Aim for 26 to 28 degrees. If the dough temperature is lower, the proofing will take longer. If it's higher, the dough will rise faster, so make sure to keep an eye on it. Once we check the dough temperature, we are going to proof both doughs. Place each dough in a bowl, cover with a damp towel, and let them rise in warm place until more than doubled in size. Now both doughs have expanded nicely. My doughs were at 27 degrees and took about 50 minutes in a 35 degrees proofer. Do the finger test to check the dough have proofed correctly. Sprinkle a little flour and gently press your finger into the dough. If the dent stays and you'll see small bubbles on the surface, it's ready. If the hole springs back quickly and there are no bubbles, give it more time. If the dough feels a bit sticky, dust the surface lightly and gently press to release some of the gas. Scoop out both doughs onto your work surface with the smooth side facing up. Now this is the top surface. From now on, we'll keep this side on the outside. Doing so helps the dough trap gas more effectively and gives the final loaf a smooth and clean finish after baking. Gently shape each into a round and tight ball. To create surface tension, again, fold the dough a few times and tuck the sides underneath by dragging and rotating it. Cover with a damp towel and let them rest for about 15 to 20 minutes until the dough relaxes. While the dough is resting, grease your loaf pan with spray oil or butter. After resting, gently poke the side of the dough. If it slowly springs back and leaves a small dent, we are ready to move on to shaping. First, roll out the cocoa dough into a long rectangle. Place the dough seam side down and flatten the dough to release the gas. Flip the dough over and roll it out from the center to up and down. Stop the rolling pin slightly before reaching the top and bottom edges. The dough will naturally gather in those areas. The longer you roll it, the more spirals you'll get in your loaf. But be careful not to damage the dough. If you roll it out too thin, the dough may split at the sides during proofing. Then roll from side to shape it into a neat rectangle. The dough should be even thickness and the width should be about 5 cm shorter than your loaf pan. Next, roll out the plain dough to the same width but about 2 cm longer than the cocoa one. Place the cocoa dough on top, line up 3 of the sides and leaving about 2 cm of the plain dough visible on the top edge. Rolling out the cocoa dough first gives it time to relax so it doesn't shrink when lifted. Roll it out with a rolling pin to release any trapped air between the layers. Now fold the visible top part of the plain dough over to start the roll. Then roll a bit tightly but gently all the way down. If the dough corners have rounded off, gently pull them out. This will help keep the seam straight. Lightly pinch the seam closed in a straight line and place it seam side down on the side of your loaf pan. Spray lightly with water. Cover with a plastic wrap or a shower cap and let it rise in warm place until the dough expands and fill the pan. Preheat your oven to 190 degrees before baking. Now the dough has expanded beautifully. Poke the dough with your finger, and if it springs back slowly and leaves a dent, it's ready. Sprinkle some water on the top and place the dough into the oven. Bake at 190 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes until golden brown. If the top browns too fast, cover it with aluminum foil to prevent burning. The bread just came out of the oven. Tap the pan to release steam, then let the bread cool on a wire rack. You can see a split along the side. That's a great sign of good oven spring, and it means the inside is soft and fluffy. Once cooled completely, lay the loaf on its side and slice from one of the bottom corners for clean cuts. You'll see beautiful chocolate swirl inside. It's soft, aromatic, and perfect for breakfast or a treat. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll try this chocolate swirl shokupan at home. Check out my other videos for more Japanese-style bread recipes. See you next time and happy baking!